welcome back to GameChanger here, and I'm very excited. I'm very excited to be back. You probably can't tell in my tone, but I'm excited. Alright, haven't dropped a tutorial in a while, and this is gonna be a great one. Super excited about this tutorial because the transformation is epic. My boy's been whiffing for 5 months, has had to cut all quarantine. He's gonna drop fade. You can't tell by the way his hair looks in this initial state. Jesus, this is about to be gold. What makes this tutorial dope, I get to show you guys a few workarounds on the parietal ridge on his right side. His hair grows back towards the nape of his neck. So instead of going down towards the ear, it grows back towards the back of the neck, all right? So I'm gonna show you guys how to work around that. I'm doing a 2 on top with the ceramic blade on my detachable clipper. So one thing I do when I get a client who has a haircut in a while, I challenge myself to see if I can cut it all off in one stroke without letting anything hit the ground. So that's kind of what I'm doing here, just playing around. But as you can see, his hair has been well maintained. When I tell you this transformation is going to come out amazing, it's going to be amazing. All right, so right now I'm just I have to watch. So he has multiple growth patterns, like I said. The main is on the parietal ridge on his right side. And if you look on the left side, you can see kind of some variations in growth pattern right there where I'm cutting right there. Also at the nape of the neck, which most men have a multiple growth patterns at the nape of the neck. That's nothing too outrageous. He also has cowlicks. The front of his hair on this edge up in certain spots grow towards the sides. So just little multiple growth patterns. If you can master multiple growth patterns, if you can master, I apologize, thin spots. You can look at this edge up, see it's kind of thinner on those sides. See, I take my time, I'm going with the blade. You don't rush. I never want to rush, even though I know his head, I never want to rush when a client has had a haircut in a while because I don't know how they've been maintaining their hair. If he's been brushing his hair all the way to the back and I cut it toward the front, then I made a drastic mistake. So it's just taking my time. See, I found these growth patterns. Look at the side, look at the nape, look at the parietal ridge. Just find the spots. Now after I do that, I do my assessment. It's time to start dropping the fade. So you guys watch. I'll be back in a second. Alrighty, so my client's not a waver, but he does take pride in his waves. He brushes, very tedious about his hair. So he's getting a dry fade, but if you notice, I want to start lower. Don't want to take too much of that progress out. Again, his choice to get the dry fade. So all you wavers in the comments saying you cutting out his progress, this is his choice. This is what he wanted. So with that being said, I start the drop low. Again, the drop fade is basically, it's essentially a ball fade with the back of the fade, which is this part I'm working on here, is lower than the side, which is the fade on the parietal lobe. I'm sorry, on your parietal ridge, which is the side of the head, leading up to the temple. All right, so I basically, again, I just drop it. No fancy terminology needed. See, as long as I come up that, see how I come up that ridge, I go a little higher. It just gives it a nice smooth look, and for him, it helps him keep his progress. So that's pretty much what I'm doing. I have my Barber edgers. And I just pretty much see, if you look right there, you kind of see how that hair grows towards the back. Once we start to make that secondary line, then you will see more of what I'm talking about. But I'm using my hands as guide. You guys, the hand that usually holds the comb, see how it stretches? It gives me more space. That's especially important when you're doing a fade such as this where you don't have much space to work with. Now, what I don't want to do when I do a dry fade, which I don't recommend, I don't want to drag the fade or stretch the fade too high. Meaning, if I start the fade low, but my secondary line, I make it really thick, then that fade goes higher than I much more intended. The secondary line is a very, very important key component in the final look. Basically on how that haircut comes out. So that's why it's very important to take proper care. Each part of the fade is very important, whether it be blending in the primary line, which is the ball to the initial hair, or the secondary line, which is the hair itself, which is the first fade, to the primary section of the hair, or the primary section of the haircut. So it's very important that you take your time to do all. Now, as you see as we put in the secondary line in, see how his hair grows back. You might not, like some people understand, obviously, if you cut hair, that can be a very difficult task to overcome. So I'll show you guys how I do it, because it takes patience, really. Sometimes I think a lot of issues come in a haircut from a barber's perspective when you panic, just like anything else in life, right? When you take your time in life, I know this is a preaching moment, when you take your time, there's usually always a way to overcome. Technique is very important. The ability to have the skill or the understanding or the knowledge, and then patience, right? Patience is very important. So now I have my Babyliss. This is my Babyliss FX, very good clipper. It's similar to the Walls Magic Clip. I'm gonna start with this, but I don't like how it doesn't have as much range for this haircut. So you're gonna see me switch out from my Andes Masters, probably about right now. No, not right now. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my time. So when you have a lighter stroke, it's much easier to get that fade to blend. When you have a very aggressive hand, you take off more hair. It's harder to get a blending type look. You're kind of adding more bulk and more of a line. But it's very important when you're fading. See, and also wrist motion. You see, I'm flicking my wrist, kind of like a C-ish type motion. You flick up and away from the scalp. And I'm also using the corner. You see, I'm using the corner of the blade. And I'm also using the reverse type method, called like a tiger claw method. That helps you get closer to the skin. Now I switch to the Andes Masters. Now you're gonna see that I kind of make an arching motion away and towards that back. I'm gonna call it the reverse growth, because the want the hair to grow the other way. So it's all about motion. See how I'm attacking the area using the corner of the blade. When you have a different growth pattern, you want to attack it from the opposite way that it grows. So if my hair pattern that I'm dealing with grows to the back, I'm going to attack it towards the front, and I stretch my skin. See, what happens is when you stretch the skin again, you extend the workspace. Take your time. Utilize that total blade of the clipper. Obviously, just because I tell you that don't mean you're going to get it right away, but you have to learn your clipper. See, I'm using the back end of the clipper. It helps me get closer, a more flush fade. I'm not applying pressure. I'm very light-handed because it helps me take off more. See that? Boom. Knocked it out just like that. Going to come back, hit small details, but it's all about technique, little bitty techniques. Reverse method, reverse tiger claw method, using the corner of the blade, and a light hand, very light hand, and see how I'm using my comb hand to stretch the skin. I said a lot to say, take your time, study the techniques, it'll come out great. We're still not done with that reverse pattern though. So now I'm debulking. Debulking is where I'm thinning out my workspace. It's the equivalent of using the thinning shears on straight hair. So I'm just thinning out my workspace. When you're doing any kind of fade on over curly hair, if you don't thin out that workspace, I'm not saying that it's not possible, because obviously barbers do it, but it's much more difficult. You want to make your job as easy as possible. You're going to see how flawless this fade is. Not saying it's perfect, but it's damn near close. But it's because of the techniques. Take your time. Again, I'm very light. See, sometimes some of my strokes are longer, some are shorter. A shorter stroke is basically me working on a specific area. A longer stroke is basically me working on a vaster or wider area, and I can take off more at a time. But whenever I need to spot check, I take my time and I take shorter strokes, and I comb in between. You're gonna notice I'm not gonna use a brush this whole fade. You don't need a brush. See right here, I caught a little something and I couldn't let it go. That happens sometimes. I jumped off the technique, I deviated from the plan, but now I'm back on track. All right, so combing, especially when you're dealing with a waver or someone who hasn't had a haircut in a while, you want to space the hair. The brush clumps the hair together, hence waves form. I need this hair to loosen up. I'll restructure those waves at the end when it's time for me to finalize the haircut. But now I'm debulking. I'm making my workspace thinner. You guys watch. I'll be back now. Couldn't even believe I was talking too much, but helpful. Debulking again. See, now I'm using my one guard on my magic clip. It's very important that you notice. Look how I take my time with the strokes. You're in no rush. When you book the client, that time is for that client, whether you're behind or not. If I'm late, I'm not rushing. I'm early, I'm not rushing. Take my time, utilize the sections of my clipper. See how I'm hitting areas. Right now with this guard, I'm primarily focused on debulking that secondary line. When I had my 1.5, I was primarily focused on debulking that work area on the parietal ridge. Now I'm debulking the secondary line. Same thing back here. And also, see if you can't notice, but his head, he has some indentions in his head. The best way to work around indentions is to just stretch the skin with the comb hand. But see how it's coming together like butter. I promise you. It may seem as though I'm making it look easy. I get that sometime in the comments. It's repetition of the techniques. You practice the techniques, and I promise. Use the corner of the blade, you spot hit, work within your zones, and gold will come every time. I'll let you guys watch, and I'll be back soon. It's time for the next step. Alright, so this is where it all comes together. So I've debulked, I've blended my primary line. Now I want to join the primary and secondary line. Typically I usually use the Andes Masters, but I wanted to start the process with this magic clip. I already had them in my hand, and it's just easy to spot check. It's easy to hit certain spots with those sharper blades. And yeah, I'm just combining the sections. Remember, this is a very detailed portion of the cut, as you can see me using right here. You'll notice that I'm using the corner of the blade quite a bit. I'm just combining sections, I'm hitting spots. For me, anything that looks bulky, chunky, or not a smooth transition, like even the edges right there, I'm not too much tripping off of that, because after I edge it up, I'll use the razor to clean that out. You'll see the technique I use. It's a pretty dope technique. But it's very important, little details. If it's not smooth, I can hit it. I hit it and hit it again. That's what she said. Nah. But I'll hit it continuously until I feel comfortable that blend is something that's worthy of representing my brand. All right, so you guys watch. I have a very dope technique. Like I said, he hasn't had a cut in 5 months, so I'll show you a technique that I use before I cut edging with the razor. So you guys watch. I'll be back soon. All right. So what do you guys think so far? Starting transition well, huh? Few techniques. Look at this. Oh, beautiful. I'm spot checking. Remember, little things. See this checkup work, this clean work, this fine tuning, detail work is very important. So let me show you where we started from as far as the backside. See, I like to do this just to look at the transition and growth. Boom, technique does that. All right. Now this is the technique I was telling you. Ooh, got that fade in that side as well. Now this is hot lather. Same thing as shaving cream. Comes out of the machine. It's just hot. What happens is the foam lays the hair down. The heat, it swells the cuticles. So when the cuticles are open and swollen, it absorbs whatever you put in there. So I'm basically laying the hair down, softening the hair at the same time. I'll come back with a hot rag, about 15-20 seconds in the microwave, sit it on the scalp for about 15-20 seconds. After we do that, by the way, the cuticle is the outermost layer of the skin, the hair, hair shaft. Oh yeah, so after we do that, now I lay it down, I smooth it out, I look for more spots. So another cool technique that I'm gonna tell you guys about. Now I brush. This is his brush, personal brush, it's a soft brush. Now I brush it the way that his hair grows and also the way that he lays his hair down. Both. I want to see if there's any spots I need to hit. You'll see this. I'm spot checking. See, bam, right here. I see a spot in the back that's kind of bulky to me, right there. I'll point it out in a second, right there. And I'm gonna just refade. So I do an initial haircut. Then after I lay the hair down, like I did with the hot lather and the rag, I'll come back and I'll spot check. I'll spot hit certain areas that I feel can be cleaner and neater. This is the thing that makes your haircuts great. That's what makes them last longer. That's what makes them great no matter what your clients do. Little detail spot checking. Greatness is not achieved in one day. It takes repetition. It takes a mind state. I never want to settle for anything less than a great haircut when I do a haircut. Anything in my life, pretty much. Ooh, look at that. Beautiful. This could have been done, but the little details make you great. I have to understand that. So yeah, you guys watch. It's time for the edge up soon. All right, here comes the good stuff, the edge up. Now, the hair is soft, laying down, it's moist, it's damp. Now I come back with shave gel. The reason why I apply so much is because it weighs down in the hair, it lays down. He has curly hair. So when you try to edge curly hair, it kind of runs from you. But when you lay a thicker amount of gel that you can wipe out later, the hair lays flat. See how it lays flat? I found the centermost point where the edge up grows the thickest. I don't want to push it back. And I stretch the scalp from the top of the apex of the crown, from the top of the head to the eyebrow. Why? Because I'm stretching it, making my workspace solid and firm. The razor glides easier on a firm surface. The skin is naturally kind of slinky and it pulls, right? It's stretchy. I need it firm. So I stretch the skin. Very important. I stretch from top and bottom. All right? Then I just let the blade do what it do. I use a new blade every time. Use the corner of that blade right here in the corner. See, the corners is usually the most difficult part to hit because of how that hair runs in the corner. Take your time. I let that razor glide. It's like butter. Same thing as when you're fading. You don't have to apply too much pressure. So after I get this edge up in, you'll see I'm actually going to attack the fade. You'll see what I'm talking about. But you guys watch. I'll be back in a second. Alright, after I get this edge up in, for the most part, primarily I'll come back and touch it up later. Now, see, boom, now I'm attacking the fade. This is the trick. You clean those edges up. You're going to create another line. Remember that. It's okay. Because it shows you how much excess hair the clippers left. This is an illusion to make that fade look much smoother. Then I'll just come back with my clippers and I'll work that out. I'm also using the comb on the edge up. This is debulking. Boom. Razor up a comb. Good way of thinning certain areas out, keeping that fade nice and flush, and getting those hairs that like to curve over. See that line I created? I'm not worried because I'm going to come back with a combination of my edges, my magic clip, and my masters. And this fade will look even better than it did before. So you guys watch, and I'll be back soon. The end transformation is going to be dope. I'll show you how he came in. I'll show you guys, obviously, how he's going to leave out. But now I'm just hitting little details. It's very important. The cleanup work. Also, I'm going to take a moment at the very end of the episode, at the very end of this tutorial, I'm going to drop a small piece from my new series that I dropped. I'm 4 episodes in. Actually 3 episodes in. I'm about to drop a snippet from episode 4. You guys check it out. I think you'll like it. Game-changing conversations and cuts. Travel to different barbers. Get a good conversation. Get a good cut. But yeah, look. This is what makes it all beautiful. Look at that. Oh, just work it. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Check it out. Okay, so I want to show you guys this thing that I do. See, I step back, I look at the cut, find certain thicker spots, and I step back forward, and then I attack those spots. Learned in the art class, it's hard to see what your art looks like from such a close view. Sometimes step away from the paper, check out the scenery, and then attack it. All right, study. Same thing, I'm not going to show you guys the other side because it's pretty much the same technique. I line the front the same way, use the razor, combination of clippers, stretch top and bottom, and I'll attack my workplaces. Remember, don't push it back. You do not have to. He has thinner spots on his edge up, but I refuse to push it back just to make it sharp. You can make it sharp with proper technique in a fresh blade. All right. I'm going to do a little bit more cleanup work. You guys have watched me hit those roach legs or those little bitty heads at the top. But for the most part, this is the end of me talking. Stay tuned for the before and after. I'm going to run that back. Stay tuned for the finished product. And stay tuned for the snippet of the show. Remember, like, subscribe. A lot of new content coming. I'm going to really try to sit down and look at that. Oh, jeez. And dedicate time to getting this content out. Hope you guys enjoy. Thank you so much. Like, subscribe, comment. GameChanger out. Ooh, I love it. Look at that. It's all about the art of GameChanger. Maybe your breath don't stink. I'm so glad. If God said you had to race him to get into heaven, and if you lose, you go to hell, would you win? Would you race him?
Would I race God?
Yes. Okay.
If you had the choice, heaven,
if you had the choice to race God or box with the devil, which one would you pick?
Box with the devil. You're not beating God,
bro.
Hell, the damn devil lost to God, man. You know what I'm saying?
You're not God. I got something for you.
But he's proven to be beatable.
Now, all jokes aside, do you think that we're gods?
Yeah, in a way.
How?
Look what we created, bro. Do you not see?
We ain't created shit.
What do you mean? I just created this beautiful haircut. You know what I'm saying?
That was cute.
We're creative.
I think that women, and bro, I'm gonna sound so pro woman on this video. I think women are the closest thing to God because they carry life and deliver it. But all jokes aside,
do you believe male carry life?
They do in our testicles. But
so why do women?
Why
get all that praise then?
Nah, you are really anti-woman.
It's funny because quit making me sound like I'm just. I love women.
You make yourself.
It's just like I'm
gonna say, look,
a lot of people think I've been hurting my life, bro. Like stop this.
I miss my wife.
You just all the wrong
women. It'd be a joke. No, women are definitely because. Well, let me say this. No, they don't just carry life. They grow life. When a woman breastfeeds, she'll literally. When my wife breastfed my son for like a year, she kept him alive on just her nutrients. So I thought that was dope.